Hey guys, it's Bill the Universe, and I'm going to be doing the birth chart of the United States of the motherfucking America, honey. Actually, it's it's the US, but it's also the Constitution, right? So, here's what's funny. I'm writing down the placements, and I'm doing everything, and I'm thinking like I'm doing the chart of the United States, which I am. But I'm doing it, and I'm just like, man, there's so many writing placements here. There's so many philosophical placements here. There's so many, that's really what it was. There's so many themes of like higher ideals, and there's a lot of very mature like energy here in this chart. And I'm thinking like, that's interesting. I know the US was very different 300 years ago than it is today, but then I'm thinking like, you know what, I forget, this isn't just the United States, this is also the Constitution. This is also the astrological chart of a piece of paper, a text, a written out draft. So it's the birth chart of two separate things, and it's very apparent that this is also the birth chart of a manuscript. Really, honestly. Why? Because first of all, the ascendant is Jeshta. By the way, this is Vedic astrology, okay? The ascendant is Jeshta, which is a star in Scorpio. Jeshta is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury rules the hands. Mercury rules intellectual and thoughts, being able to, it rules communication. So it rules everything from the brain down to the mouth, down to the hands. It rules the nervous system. It rules writing. Mercury rules writing. A lot of writers are heavy Mercury, or they're good with their hands, So I'm a Virgo moon. That's Mercury. I'm a writer, and I'm also a piano teacher. When I was younger, I used to be just like a piano player. You know what I mean? So that's hands. And so so the U.S. and the Constitution is a Scorpio ascendant. Doesn't that make fucking sense? And it's in the star of Jeshta, and it's a very mature star, and it's a star that is very, very talented with the hands. So people that have this energy are really good creators with their hands. So Mozart was a Jeshta moon, so he was a Scorpio moon. What's his name? So obviously he was a wonderful composer. He was a wonderful piano player. So he had blessed hands. The other thing is Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is he was a champion. He was a heavyweight champion at like 18 years old in the 80s. Like Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson for a reason. Like he achieved greatness at a very early age, and he's also a Jeshta moon. So again, very, very good hands, right? Catch these hands. And the other thing is the Rahu is in Aslesha. Aslesha is a star in Cancer. So Rahu is the north node. So the United States north node, Rahu is in Aslesha. So, nowadays it's very beneficial for the U.S. because Aslesha is a very crude businessman. But back in the day, I can see the founding fathers sitting in a room contemplating not just the U.S. and the rules, but like, God, where does this fit in God's plan? You know what I mean? So I can imagine them, and we already know a lot of them were Freemasons, right? So I can actually imagine a lot of them having very mystical conversations, having very deep theosophical conversations, metaphysical conversations, stuff like that. So we already know Ben Franklin was a heavy metaphysicist, so and this is the time of Newton as well, so this stuff is very, very, very and this is the beginning of manipulating electricity, right? So this stuff is the very beginning of so this is all Aslesha, where it's very mystical, but it's also ruled by Mercury. So again, this is Rahu having this obsessive objective, and then Aslesha being ruled by Mercury, the planet of writing and the planet of communication. So I think that's very, very, very interesting. So there is a lot of actual writing involved in this chart. So it just instantly reminded me that, this isn't just the birth chart of a country. This is the birth chart of the Constitution, of what it stands for, it literally, it's the birth chart of a piece of paper, so it's funny that there's heavy Mercury, that the actual ascendant is Mercury is the actual chart ruler of this is the chart ruler. So that's funny. So the other thing is there is heavy on this chart is heavy on the war, is heavy on the instigating. This chart is heavy on the doing evil acts, but at the same time being having a total front of looking perfect and kind of being the envy of the world because you look so awesome and you are so, basically it's illusion, right? There is a lot of illusion in here. There's a lot of sexuality in here, and there's also a lot of wealth in this chart. So it's a very sinful chart, but it's also very, very mature. Okay, so let's get a little bit more detailed. So I said it's a Jyeshta ascendant, which is Scorpio. It's Jyeshta. The Shakti for Jyeshta is also efforts in war. So I'm paraphrasing, but it's something about starting war, starting the combat, and achieving it. So people with Jyeshta, like Mike Tyson, like I said, are very good at war. Donald Trump is also a Jyeshta moon. So, technically, that means that his moon is sitting in the first house of the U.S. Constitution. And he was the president of the United States. You see what I mean? Like the U.S. is an instigator, basically, is what this means. The U.S. is very mature, very, very mature. And you know what? Jyeshta is so learned. Jyeshta in public is very crazy, can be wacky, wild, but inwardly, Jyeshta can be very quiet. Jyeshta can be very, and honestly, Jyeshta, when it's expressed in a positive feminine way, in what's it called? In a healthy feminine way, actually Jyeshta can be a protector of children, which is very, very interesting. Which is also ironic because we have a shitty education system. But the Shakti for Jyeshta is starting war, and no one starts war like us. So the other thing is that it's July 4th, right? So this is Vedic astrology. So in normal astrology, this would mean that the U.S. is a Cancer, but actually the U.S. is not a Cancer. When the U.S. was, I guess, manifested officially on July 4th, 1776 at 4:50 p.m., the sun was under the constellation of Gemini, under the star of Punarvasu. That is the double Pollux Castor star in Gemini. That's the binary star, those two stars that actually make up the twins. That's like the heart of the twins. So the U.S. is a Gemini. Wait. Yes, the U.S. is a Gemini. So that means that it has a very youthful appearance, right? And that makes sense. We're Hollywood. Gemini is a multitude of things. Gemini is very good at business, too. but it's also the star of Punarvasu. So Punarvasu is specifically ruled by Jupiter. So again, there's a lot of like philosophy behind this. There's also, because of Jupiter, there's a spiritual aspect to this, and you would think like, well, that's weird. Why would there be a spiritual aspect to the Constitution, whatever? But you got to realize, you got to remember that the U.S. was founded on Christian values. The U.S. was founded on religious freedom. It was higher thought, higher modes of thinking that pushed the Pilgrims out, to actually reach the U.S. It was, even when they landed in the U.S., it was like 100, 200 years of just like all these, you get Calvinism, and then you get the Salem witch trials. So you have all these religious and spiritual issues that actually are very prominent. And so we forget that, and also even today, like we are considered a very puritanical country. We're considered like way too Christian. We're considered, like we're just associated with that spiritual aspect. It makes me even think about America, America, God shed his grace on thee. So it's like, and that's funny that actually I'm thinking that God shed his grace on thee, because Punarvasu being ruled by Jupiter, that actually very much is an aspect of Jupiter, is constantly being tested by your shadow side, by the devil within you, by your demon side, and constantly being put to the test of how you're gonna work with it, and so that being a Jupiter aspect, or an aspect of Jupiter, it makes sense that the U.S. is also confronted with its devil side. And the fact that it's in Gemini, it kind of makes it that evil twin too, right? It's like we're this wonderful country, but then we definitely have like a different side, So then so again, talking about how Jeshta, the Scorpio ascendant, Jeshta is about war, starting war. So then the U.S. is a Aquarius moon. Okay, it's in the star of Dhanishta. So that's pretty cool. Wow. That's really cool. Okay, so it's in the star of Dhanishta, which is a star in Aquarius. Okay, so it's an Aquarius moon. Dhanishta is the soldier. Dhanishta people are really good at war. They're very good. They're very sober-minded, and they're good at being told what to do. It's actually a servant caste star. So these people can really thrive. When you're Dhanishta, you can really thrive by having a boss, because it endows this person with so much energy, and a lot of time, and because it's a Mars ruled nakshatra, Mars is giving you that proper violent energy that's needed to make your dreams come true. Yeah, that's true. But really to go after your goal, go after your objective, and win that battle. So Dhanishta people, being Mars people, are very, very sexy. They're very they have a lot of energy. So Marilyn Monroe was a Dhanishta moon. Shawn Mendes is a Dhanishta moon. I'm trying to think of anyone else. What's her name? Cindy Crawford is a Dhanishta moon. So very, very sexy people are Dhanishta moon. And you would be lucky to be a Dhanishta moon. So the U.S. is a Dhanishta moon. And it's in the 4th Navamsa of Scorpio. So not only is it a Mars nakshatra, but it's in the 4th Navamsa of Scorpio, which is Mars. So it's double Mars energy, double fight. And it's already a Scorpio ascendant. So there's a lot of tamas energy. There's a lot of tamas energy. That means that there's a lot of energy that makes this country look really sexy, and makes this country look very desirable. That makes people want to obsess over looking at this country. People look at this country and they are enamored. They love looking at us. But at the same time, it can cause a lot of violence and a lot of drama, a lot of trauma. This country has so much gun violence. You know, we're the only country that's like that. You know, so many countries are scared actually to come to the U.S. because there's this huge stereotype that we're just gunslinging. And in some states like Texas, we are gunslinging. You know, every day I live in Texas. Every fucking day I used to watch the news and someone died for getting shot. You know, so you know that's very very Scorpio. And the thing about being a Scorpio ascendant is because Mars is your chart ruler, Mars and Mercury is the U.S.'s chart ruler because it's Mars Scorpio, but then it's also Jeshta Mercury. But anyway, because it's a Scorpio ascendant, you know what Scorpio ascendants do a lot? They abuse their bodies and they'll do it secretly. So I know a Scorpio ascendant woman who is anorexic, you know, and I'm a Scorpio ascendant man, and I've I've done a lot of damage to my body, unfortunately, through like gaining a lot of weight and just like doing a lot of drugs back when I was young and stuff like that. So, Scorpio ascendant people can actually abuse their own body. So this is saying that like the U.S. can tend to abuse itself, you know, and that makes sense too. That makes total sense. Yeah, let's see. But there's a very beautiful, like I said, guys, there's a very spiritual aspect to this. Not only is the sun conjunct Jupiter, yeah, because Jupiter is in Gemini, 15 degrees Gemini, and the sun is in 23 degrees Gemini. So that's only an 8-degree difference. That's pretty close. So the sun is conjunct Jupiter. So that's a spiritual aspect. That's a philosophical aspect. You know, when we did the Manifest Destiny, that was the notion that it's in God's plan for us to expand all the way to the Pacific coast. That's a huge fucking revelation. That actually makes a lot of sense too, because Jupiter will endow you with size, right? So, and the U.S. is a huge fucking country. I mean, we go from, what do we cross, like 7 time zones? We touch 2 different oceans. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm just realizing Mars is in Mitigashira. So it's another star in Gemini, but this is ruled by Mars. So the Mars... The U.S.'s Mars is ruled by Mars. Is ruled by a star in Gemini, ruled by the Mars. So it's like, yeah, I mean, all this fucking Mars, it makes this person, or it makes this like energy very, what's it called? Like a very warrior-like, very action-oriented. This person can easily be in war. This person could have a career in war if this were an actual person. Because Jeshta Ascendant, that's war. Dhanishta Moon, that's a soldier. Mrigashira Mars, that's a fucking soldier. I mean, seriously, it's crazy. Okay, so the last thing, where are we? How many minutes is it? 18? Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about actually is, and the other reason why it's spiritual, not only is the sun conjunct Jupiter, but the moon is trine Jupiter. So that means that the moon and Jupiter have a very easy relationship. It's very, very easy for them to understand each other, have a good communication. So yeah, that makes sense, because after 300 years of existence, we're still a spiritual, religious country. We're still a religious country, aren't we? So, so this is the very last thing I want to touch on, is the fact that Ketu is in Shravana. You know, Shravana, according to the astrologer Claire Nocti, Shravana, which is a star in Capricorn, it can be described as the holy child, or like the chosen child, or the magical child. It's like the chosen one. It has very much, and you know what? A lot of Shravana, it's crazy because Shravana, the star in Capricorn, actually has a lot to do, in my personal findings, with aliens. I see a lot of alien events. I can, every time the ascendant's in Shravana, or the moon's in Shravana, or the sun is in Shravana, I get crazy, because I've had alien experiences, and I just get, shit happens when a planet is under Shravana. And Shravana is a very magical energy that's connected to the heavens. It's connected to aliens. It's connected to just the outer universe, right? So the U.S. in a way, is a chosen child, isn't it? Is a magical child, isn't it? Like, the U.S. is like no other country in the world. You know, it was found as a virgin. You know what I mean? Like, the whole world was already corrupt. And then it found the Americas and this just beautiful, lush forest virgin, you know? So and the Americas were Native American. They were natives, so they were magical people. They were people that were earthbound religious people. You know, Christianity is more sun, but Native American is more earth and moon. So Shravana is ruled by the moon. Shravana, like I said, is a magical child, and the ruling planet for Shravana is the moon. So the fact that Ketu is in Shravana, I think that's very interesting. I think it can mean that there's a very magical, not just mystical or philosophical or powerful or violent, because it's definitely all those things. But deep down, there's a very magical quality to the United States of America.